My name is Keith Mazza. Most of you know me as Sifu Keith. Welcome to our channel.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Chris Lester here. I'm going to be your presenter. I've invited my Sifu Keith Mazza. I'm going to introduce him here in a second. You know, Kung Fu is not necessarily what everybody thinks it is, but around the holiday times, sometimes we're looking, hey, how can we maybe gift something to somebody that hard to shop for person? Thought this would be a great idea because I met Sifu right at the beginning of the pandemic. And as a martial artist, I had studied in another style. I was watching a movie on Ip Man and I was absolutely fascinated. Well, lo and behold, here in North America, he is actually the master for Wing Chun Kung Fu. Not as I've come to know him, come to study under him, he has a plethora and a wealth of knowledge. He's like an encyclopedia. And so not only is he our instructor, but he's become a good friend. And so this is a way for us to share back with the community some ideas. And it's not necessarily just about martial arts, right? It's also about exercise or centeredness or well-being. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Keith. And, you know, Keith, you can read the some of what you see here, but Keith, take a moment here and tell us a little bit. How long have you been studying martial arts and what got you into, you know, Kung Fu of all things? I think you're Italian, right?
Yes, sir, Chris. Hey, first of all, thank everybody. Thanks, Chris, for having me back. Yeah, I'm an Italian guy. As a kid, I was born on the wrong side of the tracks. I was an Italian who lived and was born in New York City's Chinatown. And great enough it was for me is our next door neighbor was a Kung Fu teacher. And even when I was a kid, I had no idea I was learning Kung Fu. I used to play with his kids, but we would do exercises. And in China with kids, you learn Kung Fu exercises for fitness and discipline, flexibility, overall wellness. So I started, now I'm going into my 54th year of martial arts training.
Wow. And like I said, I've been around myself and I thought I knew a little bit about martial arts, but it was very humbling to just the entire kun is the Chinese word for a gymnasium or compared to Japanese, which is a dojo. When I walked in, everybody is just so humble, so welcoming, so friendly. It's not about ego. It's really about, hey, you know, things are getting a little crazy out there. And is there anything that we can be doing on a daily and regular basis to learn a little bit more? So, you know, one of the things that not just Wing Chun. So why don't you tell us, what's the definition of Wing Chun? Where did that come from? I know there's a couple different thought processes there, but what's your experience tell you about the history of Wing Chun?
Well, you know, speaking Chinese helps a lot in this instance. I mean, there really is no opinion. And if you say it Mandarin, it's Yong Chun versus Wing Chun. And depending on how they write it, Wing Chun really means hope for the future. You remember when the art was developed, when China was being overrun, they didn't have 20 years to train a disciple to really become good in martial arts. So the Chinese community or the grandmasters in Shaolin at the time took what they considered the creme de la creme of their martial arts. Instead of saying, well, what can we add to it? What could we take away? How can we streamline this? How can we make it more efficient? How can we learn it faster and make it better? So that was the aspect. So the whole hope for the future and the folklore, it was trying to restore the Han Dynasty for the Chinese.
Well, thank you very much for that. And again, just an incredible backdrop. So now that we know, you know, maybe a little bit about Wing Chun, but what are some of the other arts that are more the internal arts versus the external arts? So your Tai Chi, your Qigong, or your Bagua, how do they fit in? And what's your experience been with those?
Well, you have three internal mother arts. One is Tai Chi, which is probably the most popular. And then Xingyi and Bagua. Bagua is 8 trigrams, and Xingyi really translates into mind boxing. Every internal martial arts and all external martial arts, they all do a version of Qigong. So simplified Qigong. Qi translates breath, Gong work. So really learning how to properly do breath control and movement is the aspect of Qigong. I mean, all of the arts are good. Most people look at the Tai Chi and they see it as very, very slow moving. But if you talk about Tai Chi properly, it's Tai Chi Chuan. Chuan Fa means fist. So Tai Chi really translates grand ultimate fist. But beyond fighting, especially as we start to approach middle age, people are getting up there. In these trying times, people don't really exercise much. And here comes where the fitness comes in. Less stretching, less flexibility. The bones get a little more brittle. Then you hear of seniors falling and breaking their hips. Well, by doing the internal arts, especially any one of the three, the Tai Chi, the Xingyi, or Bagua, learning how to move slow, be surprised, even moving slow for 10, 15, 20, or 30 minutes, it's really, really a good workout. So it helps with flexibility. They're all weight bearing exercises. So you're developing bone density, you're helping with muscle function and strength building. Plus, without being mystical and magical, Qigong, when you're doing breath work, so forget about anything mystical. You deep breathe, oxygen drives blood in the body. Blood brings protein and nutrients around the body and takes away waste products. So just to do the breathing exercises are really good for overall health.
So, Sifu, you absolutely touched on an area which was another area. So, again, I had been studying close to 30 years in a Japanese style. And almost immediately walking into your Kwun and getting instruction from you, one of the things that you pointed out was I was not breathing correctly. And that seems to be a common problem. And now it's such an amazing insight for me to see that when we're practicing, when we're working out, when we're doing exercises, how much more efficient and less gassed I am. Because as I get older, you and I are now the same age.
Yep.
As we get older, and we have some older folks in the Kwun that are, have, 15, 20 years on us, and they're out there and it's breathing and efficiency and just being conditioned, all with your guidance. So again, I've just been thoroughly impressed, and thank you there. So I have 4 questions I'm going to take us through. Can most people do this regardless of age, sex, or physical ailments?
Absolutely. As long as there's a will, there's a way. I've worked with paraplegics. People can't walk. You can do all these exercises seated in a chair. Heck, if you're really that tired, you don't want to sit in a chair, I can teach you how to do a lot of these things, believe it or not, lying down, just learning how to move your joints. So there is no limit when it comes to your age, sex, or physical ailments. I mean, we have people in the school upwards and close to 80 years old, and they're coming to Wing Chun class and they're moving. So I believe there's always a way to train around something. If there's a will, there's a way. So, sir, I will answer that and say, I do not believe unless you're completely a quadriplegic and there's no way to move, there's always a way to train something.
I love it. I've always wanted to train martial arts, but felt intimidated. Is it easy to get started or easy to start to learn?
Martial arts is easy to start to learn. Chris, unfortunately, in the commercial world, there's a lot of people out there whose egos far surpass their skills. It should be easy to learn if it's taught properly. I mean, it's easy to learn. It just takes some time to get a skill. So Kung Fu really translates hard work. I mean, it's going to sound a little daunting to some. It's, hard work over a long period of time to develop a skill. The harder you work, the more you get out of it. But do you really have to bust your butt? No. You could put in 10 minutes a day as long as you're consistent every day. And with the right guidance, anybody can learn. That's why I try to keep the atmosphere in our school. I like people to have fun. If you're having fun, you're not intimidated. It really bothers me in the martial art world, or even, I've discussed about, the firearms world. Some of these instructors, they intimidate people. There's no reason to be intimidated. It's very easy to learn. And if taught properly, anybody can learn it.
Love it. Very good. Personally, I've heard this, but I used to study martial arts, but as I got older, I stopped training. Can I integrate what I already know? And I'm firsthand speaking, walking proof that can be done. But have you seen people come from other styles and sort of shift gears to start to integrate what they've learned to what you're teaching now?
Absolutely. Even when people would come to me, I've had pro fighters come to me. They say, "Hey, man, I got 3 months for a fight. Can you help me out? I want to learn." I'm like, "Listen, let me try to use your art a little better." But everything's integrated. I believe you are a complete byproduct of everything you've studied. So this art, believe it or not, when Wing Chun was developed, it wasn't really developed to start to be an art that stood on its own. The principles that you trained with were designed to put into any martial arts system that's out there. So whether you're doing Chinese Kempo, Taekwondo, Tang Soo Do, any one of the other martial arts, you can integrate that very, very simply.
Very good. And then time is in such short supply. Can I have a platform to learn at home or in the office or while I'm traveling? So you've created absolutely something that I think is just cutting edge and groundbreaking. But tell us a little bit about Sambo.
Well, Sambo is a platform that I utilize to get our stuff out there. I believe everything's broken down step by step. I've heard people say, well, you can't learn martial arts from a video. That's not true. I am not going to stand here and say that working with a video is better than crossing hands with people. But this platform that I've designed, you can take it anywhere. As long as you go step by step, you work through the basics, you can easily learn this. I mean, the platform is based where I have weekly workouts, different types of training routines. So everything's combined with if you just want a quick fitness routine, a light stretching routine, or if you're working on any one of the numerous arts that we teach at the school, there's workouts there. So you can take it on your iPad, your iPhone, Android, anything. All the videos, you just download them and they come right onto your phone. So you can watch them on the platform and follow along. So yeah, I do believe this is a great platform for people who don't have a lot of time or like yourself is traveling a lot. Take your laptop, your phone, or your pad with you, and there's your work. Plus, we live stream the classes. So even if you're not there, you can follow along with the classes, and the classes are kept online. So if you missed the class based on your time, you can always go back and watch it.
I love it, and I have a client down in Florida that when I introduced Ensemble, and he came up, and what was cool is that he was on Ensemble, and your willingness to be able to work out a program, some type of sort of custom routine with him, he still is so appreciative of that because he knows that, hey, listen, I'm not around the corner, but when I come up, and then to be able to stop in and say, hey, can you show me this technique, or can you help me to understand that? Your willingness has absolutely preceded you, and it's a testament of your instruction. So these are slides from Ensemble, and again, I like it because, as you mentioned, I'm traveling a lot. But one of the areas that I think that, because I mentioned we're in troubled times right now, that you have another company. What's the name of that company, and how did that come into being? And what is your background and your thought process if somebody wanted to learn something with weapons or firearms? How would that work?
Well, the name of the company is Controlled Confrontation Solutions. I started working, not just teaching martial arts to different units and different programs, whether it's local guys or team guys. I've worked with different aspects of all the armed forces. That gave me the accreditation of something called an SME certification, subject matter expert in both armed and unarmed combatives. I never really thought, Chris, that I'd be teaching this to the general public, but the world's gotten to become quite a crazy place. I mean, stepping back, I don't know if you remember, there was a time where, especially when we were kids, the worst thing you heard about was, a serial killer that was crazy. And next thing you know, you got people flying jet planes in the buildings. And you have people walking into schools with gas masks and guns and, people shooting up town squares. And it just seemed like it's gotten worse and worse and worse. So I figured in troubled times, especially as some people get older, a fast track way for me to do is home defense. I can teach you how to use a firearm for home defense. And there are just some basic, simple skills that we can work with. So I work with people. I'll go out to their house. I'll set up their house. I'll tell them how to set up safe rooms, team things, even simple things that if you're out in a shopping center with your family and something goes wrong, most people don't think about it. Okay, something went wrong. You're out with your wife and your children. Who loads the car? Who's driving the car? So what do you do? How do you prepare for these things? So that's why I designed Control Confrontation Solutions to really help to be an asset in these crazy times.
So that was one of the things that, it wasn't why I first was introduced to you, but it is something. I am a Second Amendment enthusiast, and you've personally have come to my house. One of the plans that I thought, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I want to show this video here. This is just, this is you working out with a student,
Yeah.
and that video, to me, nothing ever goes according to plan, right?
Yes, sir.
And I hope I never have a situation, but I have teenage girls living at home. I have older children as well. Have always been a proponent of just awareness of our environment. But because I travel, suppose somebody comes into the house. So having you come here. And, I had in my mind, I said, okay, if I'm not home, a bad guy breaks in, just like they do fire drills into the school. Well, now they have, we have a threat at the school, right? An active shooter But I said, suppose somebody comes into our house. So you were able to come in, right, and go to our house, meet my girls have been to the Queen, but you met my wife. You were able to give instruction, and they really were not ever touched firearms before. And it's just being able to have a sense of comfort, right? A little bit of familiarity, right? So that if a bad thing happens, that you don't panic, that you don't completely freeze and hope that, hey, the police are going to be here. Because I live in an area where it takes at least 20, 25 minutes for the state police to get here. So if that happens, if somebody wanted to come in, I'd have you do an assessment or have you teach them firearms instruction at a private range. Is that something that they could do? And, are you, you are a firearms instructor as well, correct?
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, I'm available to come out. I do assessments like I've done with you. I've done it for a lot of people. I've been flown out to the West Coast. I've even done stuff overseas for people who feel what's going on in the world is just getting kind of dicey. I mean, you got to remember, even here in the United States, most people don't understand that every day in the United States, there's a minimum of 8,000 home invasions a day. You just don't hear about it. So to me, everything is education. Once you're educated, I'll help you put a plan in place, and you have to work on it. You work on it with your wife, your children, just randomly run, like we said, a fire drill and just get people used to it. Because once you become comfortable with it and you understand what to do, it's a lot easier. When I was down the behavioral science unit, they came up with this one thing, and I found it amazing. If you have no forethought to a situation, none whatsoever, once you're dropped in that situation for the first time, everybody's going to panic and they're going to freeze because you don't have something to go with. Here, if we, give you a little bit of an education, at least you have an understanding of a way to move, how to move, and then keep your family safe. Everything here is about safety first, about just protecting your home, protecting your family. This is, somebody's looking for go out and shoot them up program. This is not it. This is all based on home defense and defensive skills.
Love it. Thank you. And then this is something that I thought was really cool is that you had recently done an active shooter preparedness class. And also when I first had suggested to my wife that we share with our girls some type of awareness with firearms so that they learn that it is a tool, that it's, that there are weapons in this world that you have to learn are there. But what if that bad guy shows up at the mall? What if that bad guy shows up at a school? What if that person is even running down a parade with a car, not necessarily a firearm, right? You did a whole workshop where I took my wife and my two girls, and absolutely was one of the best trainings I've been to. If somebody wanted to visit or do something like this, is this something that you're going to do again in the future? And if they had an interest, how would they go about contacting you?
Well, Chris, you feel free to give my number. I mean, my cell, I'll give it to you here. Anybody can reach out to me. It's 856-745-0973. I usually do 2 to 3 scheduled active shooter preparedness programs. But then throughout the year, I get called out by different companies and schools, and usually some local groups, families will get together. And again, it's education. So as you said earlier, active shooter doesn't just mean guns. Everything's kind of been rolled into one. Was edged or blunt weaponry. Even the case of a car, people throwing stones. So what happens in the area of a critical incident defensive situation where it erupts out of nowhere? They're deadly. So you must learn how to educate yourself and what to do. And again, it's going to sound very corny. If you know what to do, that's half the battle, right?
No, I agree. And again, I feel very blessed to have met you, and I really want to thank you. So this presentation is called The Gift of Kung Fu. And one of the things in my career with martial arts, I know that almost, you could probably expect to pay 100 hours a week to 200 or 300 hours a month, depending on the school, the class, what you're learning, so for you to create a program that is no contracts, $15 a month. So let's just do it. I'm a financial advisor. $15 times 12 is $180. You could $180 buy something for the whole year. Somebody could hop in for a week. Somebody could hop in 5 times that week. They could do lessons, ask you questions. I mean, to me, it may not seem initially like, you could put that some type of card in their stocking or something in a gift card. But I'm just absolutely amazed at the value that, because I think there's over 1,000 videos that you have on Sambo. Isn't that true?
Yeah, right now we have over 1,200. I expect to have another 100 up there before the end of the year. I mean, my goal is to put all my information out there, and I priced it at $15 a month to cover the cost of what it's going to bring things about up there. Anything that's up there is yours for $15 a month. All the different arts I teach, the Tai Chi, the Xingyi, the Bagua, the Kali, the stick fighting, the knife fighting, the fitness programs, the boxing, the kickboxing is all included. So yeah, there's no contracts, and I try to price it out. It's, to me, even if you have been training in martial arts, it's a great resource. You forget a form, if I teach it, it's up there. If you forget how a sequence of moves went, it's up there. If you're looking for a workout, it's up there. So that's why I priced it that way. I wanted to make this affordable for everybody, and it was accessible anywhere, anytime.
Well, and I'll tell you, that's why I love it, because it does, because I don't want to bug you all the time. And I'm like, we were just talking about this the other day. You showed me something. And by the next day, I'm like, "Oh, what was that again?" And I have to go back and if I didn't have that aspect of your program, then I'd be, blowing up your phone, and feeling stressed out. So thank you very much. And again, weapons, firearms, I had never in my career ever trained with a bladed weapon. I thought, knife, you see something from West Side Story and they're doing this stuff. But, now you just have helped to shed a sense of comfort. I hope I never have to do it. It's just a tool to cut boxes. But if a bad guy comes with bad intentions, having it versus not having it, to me, gives me a great sense of comfort. All right. So do you have a plan? So, what do we preach?
Well, we preach what we just said, being prepared. I mean, even with the firearms, whatever. I talk to people. Yeah, I train with firearms. I go to the range and do what? Having a skill to be able to put dots on a paper is really good, that you can learn to aim, but that has really nothing to do with a real life training situation. You know, Most people don't realize learning how to draw your gun. Where do you keep it? Learning how to pick it up. People then forget about backstops. That gun doesn't always do what you want it to do. And if you got children in the house, those bullets go through walls. As long as you hit your target, you're doing great. But okay, how did you hit your target? As we went over in your scenario, do you know how to open a door? How do you know who's behind the door? You know how to position yourself to walk into a room. Even with edged weapons, it's the same thing. People flip knives around, like you said, in West Side Story. It's really good until you pressure test something. So I believe you can do it safely. People can have fun, but they can learn. And learning how to pressure test things and put you under pressure to see how you react and then fix your mistakes moving forward, I think is one of the greatest tools that we can offer you.
And I agree. And I know, especially for me, it's a great sense of comfort that I feel that my girls, at least, because they the first time they picked up a bow staff, right? And it's like, wow, like you mentioned, what if we're out in the yard and we're raking our leaves or shoveling snows or having this 5-6 foot pole, and understanding that, just keeping the distance from somebody is very, very beneficial. And without proper instruction and mindset, you don't think about it. And then something pops off. And next thing you know, you're like, well, I had no idea. I wasn't aware. So thank you. So, to get signed up on Sambo, right, you can go to sambo.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then under the search menu, you will put Keith Mazza, and that would come up. But you can under where it says find a creator, but get started. You can put your name, your email, create an account. It's really simple to do. Here's your contact information again. It's Mount Laurel down in New Jersey. Again, this will be, it's not only for people in New Jersey, but all across the country. We have people that are not only advisors, but clients that are throughout the country as well. So if you have questions, if they want to reach out, if they want to contact you, right, feel free to do so. I know you've been really, really resourceful, but this is just something that I've become very passionate about. Keith is a great resource. So if you have questions, please reach out or contact me after the call. These are our disclosures, right? I'm an investment registered advisor through an RIA registered investment advisory firm. This information is not endorsed or supported by them. These are our disclosures. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. I feel very blessed and honored to be able to bring to you Keith Mazza and his family and his skill sets. If you have any questions, we're in the financial planning services and we believe in protecting our clients' money. But, part of that is just an awareness overall. It's protecting ourselves, our health, our welfare, and our well-being into the future. So again, Keith, I want to thank you again. Anybody out there that has any questions, either reach out to me, reach out to Keith directly, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks again. Have a great holiday.
Thank you, Sifu. Bye-bye.
And don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and share buttons. And when you hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell notification to all so we can let you know as soon as we put out a new video. And we want you to know that we're here for you. So leave your comments below. We're going to get back to each and every one of you to make sure your questions get answered. And once again, thank you. We look forward to being your all things Wing Chun and more for many years to come.